welcome to Scott Family Homestead. Today I'm working on a project that has been waiting for me for a long time, and that is uppotting peppers. So I have mostly King of the North peppers. These are our bell peppers that we grow. So they are red bell peppers, but we harvest them green, and they are the best growers that I have found for our area. So I've got a ton of those. We've got some banana peppers, I've got some jalapenos, and then my mini bells are really small. I planted those late, and my Anaheims I planted twice. They didn't come up. I usually plant poblanos, but I apparently was out of seeds. So tried to go with the Anaheims for a similar level of heat. They did not sprout for me at all. So we're gonna deal with these, getting them up potted. I just filled up a tray, soil, ready to go. And I thought we'd talk about the last week while I do this. Time to catch you up. So I posted my last video a little bit early last week. We had some major weather coming through, and I was kind of hoping to do 2 videos last week, but it just didn't work out timing wise. So we're gonna go back to early last week and kind of catch you up for what's been happening, because there's been a lot of big events, a lot of projects going on. It's one of those seasons where your to-do list is really dictated by the weather and what has to happen next. So we did a few things this week that we were hoping to get off our list, and a few unexpected projects this week that popped up because they just needed to get done, and now is the time. So let's first start talking about that first storm. So I showed a clip of it at the end of my last video, and it was, if you saw it, I also put it on my Facebook, the swirling clouds, right? And so we had a tornado warning, and when we saw those swirling clouds in the sky, I set up my camera, and it looked really cool, but I was like, I'm going to the basement with the kids. The kids had been down there as soon as the warning came through. So I set up my camera and I went downstairs, and unfortunately it only recorded for like a minute longer because the push notification saying tornado warning came through and it shut my camera off. So I wish I could have seen what happened afterwards. We did get that cool funnel on video, which was really pretty cool. Someone from our county's emergency management did come out to see that video and to have us send it to them so they could send it on. They had said they had a trained spotter see a tornado in our area, but they couldn't get a hold of this spotter, and they didn't have any other confirmed information about it. So our video was kind of what they had for that. So we gave them all of that information, and then they did report that we had a funnel in our area, but they believe it didn't touch down. So that was good. This storm did not have a lot of wind with it. The clouds were really eerie, and like I said, we saw the swirling clouds, the funnel forming, but it really wasn't windy, and we didn't have any storm damage. There was like no major issues from it. So that is really good. We were very lucky. We're very happy that we were all safe. A little bit of excitement for the kids. So that got us thinking about our next project, which has been on my list for a very long time, but it just never gets done. And that is these trees in front of our house. I'll show a picture. These 5 pine trees are right out near the road, and they actually grow right under the power lines. And when we moved in, as you can see in the picture, they're just chopped. Like, they just came and topped all of them. They always looked kind of silly. I never really liked how they looked, and always planned on taking them down. But with these storms coming through, we realized they've already grown a couple feet since we moved in, and they're at the point where they're rubbing on those power lines. And we've never lost power here. We have had really good luck with our power grid here, but I didn't want to be the reason that people lost power. So I decided these trees had to go. It was time. And so I spent the next couple days cutting up those trees, dropping them, cutting them up. They still need to be made into firewood, which pine is not great firewood, but it will be perfect for our maple syrup making, or if we really get into a pinch, we can burn the pine. So it won't go to waste, and it's all piled up, ready to go. So we'll go ahead and get that split at another time. And I also need to get going on regular firewood. We need some hardwood. We got some more trees picked out that need to get cleaned up. So the list just keeps on going. Now the front yard is nice and open, and it actually is a lot nicer without those trees there. And I'm really happy that we got it done. So it feels good to just have something checked off the list that's been on our list since we moved in 3 years ago. I was kind of in a rush to get those trees done because we had another storm coming through, and this one also had a tornado warning. Thankfully, again, it was not a bad storm. But the really nerve-wracking part of this one was that we knew a big storm was coming in, and a lot of the area schools sent their kids home early. and our district didn't. So I was getting a little bit nervous watching the radar, seeing everything come in. It was gonna be right when the kids were on the bus. And so the school did make the decision to keep the kids at school a little bit longer while this storm moved through. And it was a good thing because we did end up with another tornado warning. There was no evidence of a tornado or funnel with this one. It was just kind of those perfect conditions. It was a really warm day and a super cold front was coming through. So we got lucky again and didn't have any issues, but we did camp out in the basement again. And like, for some people this is probably totally normal, but here in Wisconsin, tornadoes are not like a thing that we get a lot of, like very rarely. So this was really weird to have 2 big storms in 1 week. But the kids got home just a little bit late. Again, no damage. With the first storm we got a little bit of hail. With the second storm we didn't get really anything. We had one little downpour and then that was it. So thankfully, nothing at all. I will not complain about that. Now, as I suspected, with all of this crazy weather moving through, we finally had our last calf. Hazel went into labor. I missed it. I can watch it back on the security footage. I can see her give birth. She had been holding her tail up kind of funny in the morning, and I was keeping an eye on her, but I wasn't overly concerned about it. And then she pretty much just laid down and 10 minutes later had her baby. It was a super fast labor, not a lot of signs of it coming. She did perfectly fine on her own, and she had a beautiful baby boy. He is just the cutest thing. I guess he'd be considered like a yellow Highland with his coloring, but he has like a shimmery white gray color to him. So I'm wondering if he'll end up more dun. So I'm really excited to see as he grows. But 3 boys, 3 for 3, exactly what we wanted. That was really cool. And he's here, safe and sound. It had been a really cool night the night before, so thankfully he wasn't born into that. He came during the day, he got dried off, and then even though it was a cool night, his first night, he did just fine. We didn't have to bring him in, we didn't have to dry him off. This is a much more ideal time to be welcoming calves than the early March time period when the other 2 were born and it was a little bit cold. So once Jasper was here, that was our last spring calf. We still have 2 more calves coming later, so like in late July, early August, we're expecting them. But for now, we're done calving. So we were able to get everybody moved onto their summer pastures, or at least for a little bit. We were able to move Digger out to his summer pasture, and we put the 2 mamas that are going to calve in July with him. They'll come back later this summer, but for now, just so he has somebody out there. And then also Dilly, because he's still nursing off of Rosie, and so he got to go out there too. And then it was time to get all of those spunky little calves out onto green grass. So they had only ever been in the barnyard full of dirt. It was time for them to get out onto their pasture. From muddy, muddy barnyard, these guys are headed out onto some nice green grass. They're still going to be getting bales, so they shouldn't have too much tummy upset from being on the grass. But this is a good time to move them so they can slowly adjust. If you put them on that long, luscious green grass, it can upset their stomachs. I would expect Martha to be the first one through. She loves a good open gate. really got room to roam. Now, these guys will get moved out with Digger when it's time for their mamas to be bred again, which is not for a couple of months. So for now, they're gonna hang out here close to home. The babies sure love to run around together and have fun. And then with that, the barnyard is finally empty, and we haven't had this in a long time because we've always either had a milk cow out there or somebody who needed a little extra care and attention. So for the first time since we put this barnyard pasture in, we can finally reseed it. So we went ahead and did that. Yesterday we put down just a generic pasture seed. I'm sure it will get destroyed as soon as we put some new animals in there. It's kind of our sacrificial area. It's not really made to hold up to a whole lot of animals, but we've got some more rain coming in. Hopefully that grass gets watered really well over the next couple of days. Hopefully my seed doesn't wash away, and we'll have a nice green barnyard for when we have Rosie and Suki coming back to have their babies. And lastly, the thing that I'm working on between yesterday and today is gardening. So obviously our peppers aren't going out for a while. These guys have another month or so inside, but I was able to plant our onions. So onions are good down to about 20 degrees. I've got some onion starts. If you are local, I've talked about this a lot, so you're probably tired of hearing me, but I bought in bulk from Dixondale Farms with the objective of selling them at a lower price, the bulk price, so that we can spread the love a little bit. I don't make money when I buy in bulk like this, so the seed starting supplies, the onions, for me, I always just kind of hope to break even or make my supplies cost a little bit less. So I keep a couple for myself and just try to get the discount out to everybody, because if you buy just one bunch from Dixondale, it's like $17. I offer them for $6, and then it usually makes the ones that I keep for myself either free or they cost just a little bit. I think it just benefits everybody. So anyways, I still have a few left. I think I only have one yellow onion bunch, but I've got lots of whites and reds. So if you want to stop by the farm stand, this is the week to plant them in our area. I also put in some of my cool weather stuff. So I got some carrot seeds out there, Swiss chard, beets. I planted some marigolds, which is probably early for those, but I just like to get them started. My garlic is coming up. I've got some other bulbs and flowers coming up, but most of my stuff is still inside. So I've got the peppers, the tomatoes, a lot of my flowers, growing some perennials. I'm trying to get my tea garden and perennial garden going a little bit more this year. And so all of that is still indoors, but I was able to plant a few beds out in the garden. We're gonna start with the raised bed garden. I've got 3 types of onions in here. Onion starts from Dixondale Farms. And then our other bed over here has garlic in it. I added some marigolds and some peas across the back. I also have peas behind these onions. I like to plant them wherever I have a fence that they can climb. And then on the other side, we got peas across the back here, and I did Swiss chard and some beets. The rest of this garden bed is going to be greens, but they're not in yet. Got to harden them off. And then this whole bed is carrots with peas across the back. I'm going to be replacing these smaller little Amazon cheap garden beds with a U-shaped Vego bed on each side. And those I purchased myself. I'm just waiting for them to ship and get here. They'll have about the same footprint. We're going to take the arch out and move those into the high tunnel, but we'll have a little bit of extra space in the back. So the U-shaped garden beds, which are going in here, will have all of our stuff that isn't cold hardy. So tomatoes, peppers, beans, all those are going to go in the U-shaped beds, and my goal is to plant all of the outside garden beds this week with our cool weather stuff. And these little garden beds are going to be repurposed. My kids want them for their own little gardens. I think we're going to move into the high tunnel on either side of the main door here, and then they can each have their own little growing space in there. It's getting sunny. So next up, we have our piglets going out on pasture. So mamas and piglets are all going to go out on one pasture. We're going to try this time. This will be the first time that we have 2 batches of piglets out there, and I'm hoping that they'll all do good together. So it's a nice big pasture, and hopefully they're all good. But first we have to castrate, and then all the babies can go up. We have sold to a few families that are going to come pick up piglets in May, mid to late May. So a lot of them will be going to new homes, which is kind of nice. We always hold some back and raise them ourselves. Obviously, we sell by the cut, but it is nice to have those extra piglets, be able to send them to some new farms to grow out. The list really never gets shorter. It just seems like things just keep getting added to it. But we are starting to get to the point we're getting into the swing of things and into routine. So we're getting settled where like all the babies are here. Meat birds are not coming till June. So everything is just getting into routine. The kids are going to be home from school in a month. And so we're starting to get into some chore routines. I even have Harrison doing some chores before he goes to school, feeding who he's in charge of. He's going to take care of our steer and get him grain fed until butcher time. So that's a morning and evening feeding chore. And our kids don't do a ton of farm chores. They mostly just help where we need help. But for the summer, we're going to get into some routines where they each have their own jobs that they are responsible for, start to finish. Age appropriate, of course. So for Savannah, it's very simple, like feed the dogs twice a day, 1 scoop, things that she can do very easily. I have people ask about farm chores and what we have our kids doing. Nothing wild and crazy. Harrison's going to be in charge of feeding and watering meat birds, and if he ever needs help, he can ask for help. But those are pretty simple. We do top feeders. So you dump the feed in, and you can dump water in. The screw top feeders, especially the really big ones, when you're raising a lot of birds, are way harder for kids. So we get the ones with the doors on top. He'll be taking care of the meat birds, and Micah will be taking care of the laying hens, collecting eggs and feeding them. And Ezra is going to take care of a couple of little household chores and then feeding the cats down in the barn. So I'm excited to finally let them have very structured tasks. And then we do have the Skylight calendar where they can check off their tasks so that I know at the end of the day that everything actually did get done and everybody's cared for. And then the pigs and the cows will be my responsibility. And Ryan is taking on a ton at work. He is super busy, which is good for us. We're happy to have that. But it is kind of changing how we do things and how busy we are. And so having the kids help is really helpful without overwhelming them with large tasks. I know farm kids are kind of known for being really hard workers, but our kids are not, they're not about it. They love living on the farm, but they don't want big to-do lists. So we're trying to keep it simple, kind of ease them into it. We've always done, in the morning we'll tell them, okay, you do this, kind of all summer long, but now we're doing assigned tasks. These are the animals that you are in charge of, and you're responsible for taking care of them. And we'll see how that goes. I'll report on that come this summer when things really get going, but hopefully that's helpful to all of us. If you have kids and you are farming, or you did in the past, what were their jobs? What were their ages and their jobs? Because I'm very curious. We don't know a ton of other farming families, and I don't know what their kids are in charge of, so I'd love to hear what you have to say. Let me know. But we got 1 tray finished. I've got a lot more to do, but about 4 more trays of peppers. So thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to work on this, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.